What's going on, everybody? Hopefully, I am able to be seen. Hopefully, everybody is okay. And for some reason, every time I get on the live stream, somebody is calling. It's 4 in the morning. Who's calling somebody at this time? Anyway, I just wanted to share and shed some light on something that's really important to me. And I didn't, like I said, it's about gun control. You can see the video. Hopefully, you can hear me. And I guess I can't sleep, so this is what this live stream is about. Just me trying to answer an important question, about why gun control is important in this country, anywhere. Without me getting too dramatic, I'll tell you a story. The year is 1986. Basically, you know, um, my mother takes me down to North Carolina. I think it's North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. And me and my brother, we go down there just to visit the family and see what's going on, you know, see how folks is doing, to see, the other side of the family or whatever the case may be. We don't know what's going on with these folks. We met them a couple of times, been back and forth. I'm about 6 years old. I think my brother's about 2, going on 3 at the time. And we go down there for a quasi family reunion, and we go over to some cousin's house, and there's other little kids playing and doing their thing. And basically, in the room, the kids get tucked away and stuff like that. And they get put in the room, go play with each other, do whatever you do in the room while the adults talk, and we'll just get back to you. So as I'm sitting in the room, there was this big toy chest. And in the big toy chest, there's toys and stuff in there. And, the kids are playing, not making a big deal about anything. So we're grabbing the toys and stuff out of the toy chest. The kids are looking at me, cousins not really knowing each other, people seeing each other. I don't even know if everybody in the room was related, didn't really care. A couple of light-skinned little kids looked like we wasn't really related anyway, but that's beyond the point. So, good morning to you. So, I see this gun in the room. I don't know, I don't remember if I got the gun out the toy chest or if I picked it up off of a drawer or whatever the case may be. So I take the gun and I have it in my hand. It felt a little heavy. So I'm aiming this gun and I'm pointing it at one kid. I don't know if he's my cousin or not. And then I point it at the other kid. I don't know who they are. I'm pointing the gun around the room. I'm aiming it. And something felt wrong just about pulling the trigger. So I didn't pull the trigger, It just wasn't in my heart. My mother, taught me not to play with guns and stuff like that. But somehow or another, there was a gun in this room full of children, in some uncle or cousin's room. They said maybe he was a cop, maybe he wasn't a cop, but there was a gun, a fully loaded gun. And I found out the gun was fully loaded because, I don't know, something just, I guess, came over me. I aimed the gun in the next room and shot off the gun. I had a kickback to it. I think it was a revolver at the time. And the disturbing part about it was the baby in the next room. So, thank God the baby wasn't hurt. The baby wasn't killed, anything like that. But needless to say, it got everybody's attention when I took the revolver, aimed it as a 6-year-old into the ceiling in the next room. And, they scolded me, they sent me outside. Everybody was mad. Everybody was trying to find out what was going on and who did what, and what was really going down, and how did he get this gun, how did this little kid get this gun, what was going on, why wasn't it secured, why wasn't it safely put away, where did I find the gun, did I look for it? To this day I don't remember exactly how I got a hold of the gun, but all I know is I had it in my hand and I aimed it at another little kid, and then another little kid. I guess they were related to me. I don't know. I haven't seen this kid since that day in 1986 as a 6-year-old. But it just wasn't in my heart to pull the trigger. And it's something that my mother, she kind of taught me and gave me that. And it was just in my heart to just even, attempt to shoot somebody else, whether I felt it was, a real gun or not. It just something felt wrong about shooting another person. And why I take the time out to tell that story, why I take the time out to even go that way, is because I had to be taught about, I guess, it's the decency of human beings and the danger of guns and what was real and how things affected people, even if it seemed like a toy, if it wasn't a toy, that if you aim a gun at somebody, there's real consequences between having a gun and shooting the gun and loading the gun and what that was about. And that was just something that my mother taught me because of who she is and how she is just as a person. I'm not saying she's perfect, but she's religious, so she taught me not to play with guns and do all that other crazy stuff and whatnot. So it stopped me from really going there. And I say gun safety and gun control is important because it can stop you from doing things or stop kids from making grave and grievous mistakes like I could have made at 6 years old. I could have shot some other little kid, in the face, in the head, with a gun that I thought that was a toy, which wasn't a toy. And it could have ended real badly, to where I've had to have sealed records or, maybe something on my record, a body on me or something like that at the age of 6, which I don't find entertaining, cute, funny, or cool in any old kind of way. And I think it's something that people, if you're gonna tackle gun control or gun safety, it has to start early. It has to start with the children. It has to start with letting them know and making them aware of how dangerous guns are, how real the consequences are between, what's real and what's not, what's fake, on television, person getting shot up 10,000 different times and you're not really seeing the consequences behind what's going on. As a youngin', I understood how dangerous guns were because I was put in that situation to where in the blink of an eye, somebody's life could have been taken by my own hand because I had a revolver in my hand and I aimed it at a person and it just didn't feel right to pull the trigger. But that was because my mother taught me. That was because she taught me not to play with guns. That was just because she taught me, the value of human life, that there's dignity in human life, that, guns are not a toy. They're not something to be played with, There's not something to be taken for granted, you know. And like I said, I just wanted to share that. I just felt like, I'm not telling people you can't have your guns. I'm not telling people, just don't take away take away the Second Amendment or anything. I'm just saying that it's important because you can save your child. You can save somebody else from doing something that's a grievous error or mistake or something that may hurt them or may put them in a bad way. Like I said, it's not perfect, when I'm saying my story, my example, but it is 4 a.m. in the morning, and I'm just talking about it because, like I said, the stuff that's going on in Vegas and the things going on in this country with over 270 something mass shootings, at least as it's been reported, in this country, we obviously have a problem, and people not being taught the proper safety and gun controls, yeah, I'm just talking about gun control, Yas Poet. Now, thank you, RV, Lucky, for coming in. I'm just talking about gun control, gun safety, how important it is. And I told a little story at the beginning for those that got it. I'm not going to be on here too long. But basically, to recap in the story, for those that don't know, those that may watch it, later on, in the replay, is that I'm somebody who understands, the importance of gun safety and gun control. Because as a little kid, I came into an encounter with, a loaded gun to where I could have shot and killed somebody who was in my family just thinking that it was a toy gun. And, but because of what was taught to me by my mother and just something that she just taught me because of how she wanted to raise, her sons not to play with guns and stuff like that. True. It's not the guns that kill people. I mean, it's not the guns that kill people. It's the people that kill people. But remember something, is that if the people were not being taught the danger and the consequences of these guns and how to use and how to be safe with them, then it's a moot point because my story wasn't designed to tell people not to have guns or not to use guns. You got guns for hunting and of course you got guns for war and stuff like that, but on a basic level, gun safety and gun control needs to be taught because people are not going to give up their guns. People are not going to stop wanting to bear arms for whatever reason or whatever the case may be. But what I say is at least teach the children gun safety, gun control, not to play with guns and take it lightly and take it for granted. Because I'm somebody, if I didn't know these things, if I wasn't taught, you wouldn't know me, you wouldn't see me. I would be somebody who probably had a criminal record or somebody tucked away with sealed records, hopefully, you know, in some semblance of a life. That's something I would have had to, deal with and have on my conscience. Yeah, definitely. I say that, you want to be safe around firearms. You want to teach the children. You want to let them know that there's consequences to these things for our actions. The guns are not toys. Guns are not something you play with. Guns are something that, in any form, you don't want to take it lightly. To aim, a weapon at anybody, be it a toy, be it real, be it fake, whatever it is, is a big deal. So when I was 6 years old and I was aiming this gun at another human being, even though I felt it was a toy and it was real, it was something to me that just didn't feel right. It was something to me that was taught to me. And, in a snap decision, by the grace of God, however you want to say it, I say by the grace of God, I didn't shoot this little boy in the head because I had a point blank range shot at somebody and I could have taken somebody else's life. And I don't care what anybody says, you would see me a lot differently had I killed somebody, be it my family member or otherwise, at the age of 6. You know, it would have been a whole different conversation that we're having. Thank God for that conversation that was had with me, before. And this is at the age of 6. And, there's plenty of situations where this has went the other way. And, people weren't able to walk away. And then also, too, there was a baby in the other room. So if I didn't shoot one of those children in that room, I could have hurt and killed the baby in the other room by a ricochet bullet. So thank God none of that happened. But that also too comes with saying, look, I don't feel comfortable with aiming, be it a toy gun, a real gun, any type of gun, at another human being. Even to this day, I don't take it lightly, aiming a toy gun at somebody else. I mean, I got to feel real comfortable. Got to be a water gun, and it got to be maybe a Nerf gun or something like that. And even then, I'm still thinking to myself, wow, this holds weight to it. This is a serious thing, And like I said, I'm not trying to tell anybody, you can't bear arms. I'm not trying to tell anybody that you can't go out and hunt or you can't, use it for protection, military wise or other. I'm just saying that it's important to teach the safety to the children. It's important to teach people the consequences of playing with guns, of securing your weapons, of, putting things in proper perspective so nobody gets hurt, to monitor situations and let people know that this is not a laughing matter. It's not a game, and that's just, where I'm coming from with it. I'm not trying to preach to anybody. I'm not trying to talk down to anybody. I'm not trying to tell anybody that they're wrong for having a gun. If you have a gun in your home, if you don't have family members that you're trying to protect, I listen. I'm not mad at you about that, but teach the children. Let the people know, about gun safety, about gun control. Let them know that there's consequences to playing with guns. Let them know the effects. Let them know the things that go down. Hey, what's going on, Mrs. P? Thank you for joining the live stream. But like I said, gun control, it matters. Teach the children, teach the teenagers, teach the people that don't know. Even if you have to go to other adults and understand, like this is not for play. This is not something that's without consequences. And I had to learn that at a young age, that, possessing a weapon of any type, be it a gun, yeah, thank you, Mrs. P. Be it a gun, be it a knife, be it a stick, be it a sword, that, holding a weapon, aiming it at another person, it holds consequences. It matters. You have to be careful when you aim a weapon of any type. Hey, what's going on, Trey? When you aim a weapon of any type at anybody, it causes consequences. I come from a place, in society where if you aim even a toy gun at somebody, that's fighting words. That's death. That's life and death there. So I say teach the youth the significance of, holding a weapon, because there's a lot of people out there, that go on the video games and play the Call of Duties or the Grand Theft Autos and, all the entertainment stuff, and they, have the reset button. And I remember when I was in the military, one of the training sergeants said something that, in real life, in real combat, there is no reset button, and when you have these weapons out in the real world, especially you children out there, there's no reset button. There's no, restarting of your phone. What's going on, Victory Leo? So this is just me shedding some light on the matter. because I say, like I said, it is important. It does matter, that you at least teach the youth about the safety and the consequences of using guns, about the seriousness, the weight that that's held behind, these things. And the reason you teach the youth, the reason you try to hit them with these things early, so that at least you have a society where people know, they're aware. So when these things happen, it's not like nobody was taught. It's not nobody was dealt with. It's not nobody was coached or counseled on the matter. Yeah, Mrs. P. It's not so much the guns can ruin lives. I'm not gonna say the guns themselves. The guns don't ruin the lives. It's the people that's using the guns, and it's the lack of regard for human life, or the decency to understand that it is weight that's held to when you aim a weapon or you draw your sword at anybody. That's not something you take lightly. And I think in this society, we take it too lightly. It's too entertaining just to see somebody, shoot them up, bang them up, kill them up, do all that stuff. I'm not going to lie to you and say it's not entertaining myself. I mean, I watch stuff on Netflix. I watch stuff online. I watch stuff, on my television and whatnot. Like I said, I want to see The Punisher on Netflix. I'm not going to not watch The Punisher, because of, mass shootings and stuff like that. But I still do it with a mindfulness that these things carry real consequences. There's no respect for the weapons. Well, it's interesting. I say there's probably no respect for the life. Because people, they respect the weapon. You aim a weapon somewhere, people will respect the weapon. But it's people not having respect for human life and how these weapons affect different lives and stuff like that, and understanding that there's real consequences to it. Some people are freely to say that, if they have a conflict, they'll just go out and get somebody shot. I'd rather see some people go out there and just duke it out and fight it out like old times, fight it out, Yes, Miss P, life is so precious. It is very precious. And I think it's not something that should be taken lightly. I would rather see people have a good old fashioned fist fight than to go out there and grab a gun or knife or sword and then, kill each other up. Yeah, people are walking around unconscious, buddy. Yeah, that's true. That's true, KZZR, WKZZR, that is true, and I think it's something important to teach the youth, because people, as we get older, whoever people are in the adult age, you can't really tell nobody nothing, you know, um, but the kids, you at least try to have a better tomorrow. You at least try to give them some footing. You at least try to make them knowledgeable of the effects of, gun violence, gun control. I mean, I'm not saying fisticuffs is the best way to do it, but I would rather see people duke it out in the street, or go get some boxing gloves, or have a backyard alley fight than to go out there and get guns and knives and have a street war and a shootout and all this other stuff. Because when I grew up in the 90s, I mean, boy, there was a lot of shootouts in these projects. There were a lot of shootouts. Yeah, Trey, yeah, no fists like that. Yeah, definitely. I don't even know if kids know how to fight each other anymore. I don't know if they know how to defend themselves anymore. But that's beside the point. The point is just that, teach the youth the value of human life. Teach the youth the effects of these weapons. I mean, I know they got video game companies. I know you got militaries and, different, organizations that are about certain things with weapons, NRA and all that stuff. I get that. I mean, I know you're not going to disappear. I know you're not going nowhere. I know, different laws are going to stand on the books. I get that. I get that. People have certain interests and whatnot. But life matters more. Karen says, I was taught to respect the weapons in our home. Okay, I was taught to respect the weapons in our home. As a child, the effects that comes with the weapons is so dire. Growing up is haunted. Yeah, definitely, definitely. I agree with that. You respect the usage of the weapon, how it affects lives and it can change lives, because I know this personally. So I mean, I'm telling you a story, but I'm not making the story up. I can have my mother and different people corroborate what went down, but the reality is that you learn the respect for human life. You learn the seriousness. Even at 6 years old, I knew the seriousness of aiming another weapon, be it a toy or otherwise, at somebody else's head. And thank God that when I aimed that weapon, that revolver, I remember it like it was yesterday. It was like with a wooden handle and silver revolver, fully loaded. And all I had to do was just pull the trigger, and my life would be totally different. I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you. Yeah, you're right, Trey. Sometimes people can't determine the fantasy for what's real. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not telling people you got to put down your guns. I'm not telling people you can't do what you do. I have never been around guns, don't want to be. That's great, Miss P. That's great, Miss P. But the reality is that guns are not going to disappear. Organizations that, regulate this stuff are not going anywhere. We're going to have law enforcement. We're going to have wars. We're going to have rumors of wars. We're going to have all types of things going on. That's not going to change. But what I say to people is that it needs to be stressed more, the effects of it. And I know it's not sexy. I know it's not cool. I know people would rather get back to the entertainment stuff, the celebrity gossip, the things that people normally talk about, or, the sexy stuff. I get it. I get it. But guess what? It's also not sexy when you got over 500 something people getting shot up, at a country music concert and 58, 59 people dying. You know what I'm saying? It ain't sexy then. And then the people to move around it and try to lobby against it, and to say there's nothing going on and it's not really a problem. Listen, I ain't telling folks they can't have their guns. I know people gonna have their guns. I know people gonna tote their guns. I personally don't tote guns and own guns, and I'm ex-military. I know how to use a weapon. I was trained, but still, I know the effects, and I think it's not at least being taught to the youth. Teach the youth, man. Miss P says even in the UK, police officers don't carry guns as the norm, not like the States. Yeah, I heard about that, Mrs. P. I definitely heard about that. Julia says only fight I ever had was like training. Oh, okay, I get you. You're talking about that. Well, I could tell you about this, Victory Leo. You didn't go out there and grab a gun. You didn't go out there and grab a knife and say you're gonna take this person's life. I think people need to understand about conflict resolution. They need to understand about the seriousness of these weapons and the effects that they have, the things that can happen. When you use a weapon, or you don't understand, the severity of introducing a dangerous object or weapon into a situation, how it can turn into a spiral or a conflict, or a war or a battle, and it can go out of control and people lose loved ones and folks that they care about. But that's not for me to go too deep into that level. This is simply about me shedding light on the fact that it's more important to distinguish what's real from what's not real, and to teach these babies, these kids, about the effects of gun violence, of the seriousness of gun control. Letting people know that if you're gonna, own weapons and be around these things, that you want to be responsible and safe. Because I think that's lost a lot of times, especially with some of the games that we have out there. Great time of that. Yeah. Okay, no, definitely, Trey. Because I'm about to wrap this up soon too. I'm probably gonna make this a half an hour, and then I'm gonna, end this live stream. But this is just to say, this is important because this is our society, this is our youth. We become so desensitized, so it becomes so normal, the violence that is out there. And to me, I don't know about you, I can't speak for whoever you are out there. It's not normal to me to have all these different mass shootings in any country, to have all these bombings and things like that, even if it occurs on a regular basis. I know this is not something that it should be normal. I know it's acceptable. I know it's the new normal. I know it's what's in society, but it shouldn't be so commonplace. People shouldn't be so desensitized to the violence that it's just like, okay, well, there was another mass shooting, or another person died, or another person committed suicide, or there was another terrorist attack. Oh well, let's go back to the next football game, or what's the newest movie coming out, or what's the latest fashion trend, or what's being live streamed, and what's the latest gossip online. And you're like, really? So people just died and we just kind of move on to the next thing like nothing happened. We don't teach the youth, and we don't make an example about it. That said, I understand that my dad was ex-military. I was brought around guns and hunting. I understand it. Yes, exactly. That's all I'm saying. That it's not. I'm not telling people you can't hunt. I'm not telling people you can't know about guns. I'm not telling people you can't go to shows and competitions and things of that nature. I just think that what's lost is that the seriousness, and the effects of it. Because you hear about the mass shootings and stuff like that that's going on. Even the stuff in Vegas, I heard a lot of stuff about the people that died and how emotional people were and what folks really don't want to do and how political you don't want to make it. But I hear very few people actually coming out publicly and trying to put something together and teach the youth about gun safety, gun control. Like how this works, how you can actually, try to affect it. I know it's not going to change everybody's mind. I know some people are going to be gun ho and gun happy, and that's not going to change. But for those people that want to be safe, for those people that want to take this serious, for those people that want their family to understand the difference, it's important. I have done hunting and training multiple times. The ethics aren't great. See, but that's what I'm saying. That just the ethics of holding a weapon, the ethics of the responsibility that comes with securing your weapon and properly storing it and registering it and doing those things, which politically may not be popular to certain people. I'm not saying it's going to prevent everything from happening. I'm not going to say people are not going to go out there and do certain stuff, but at least you try to have more people who are knowledgeable, who are aware of the effects of it, of how serious the problem is, of how desensitized we are. And you don't want the youth growing up and being so desensitized to violence that they don't understand, or neither do they care. The alternative is right. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that should be done properly, but doesn't mean everyone will do it. Yes, you're right, Ned. It doesn't. But it doesn't mean, even though everybody won't be responsible, that nobody should be taught how to be responsible. It doesn't mean that kids shouldn't know about the effects of it. So at least if people do certain things, they're aware. If at least if certain folks turn and decide they want to be reckless and just non-caring or hateful with the weapons, eventually that it was instructed, it was put out there, and it seems far-fetched, it seems aloof, maybe too philosophical. But the thing is that the least that we can do, like you said, is provide proper education to try to prevent it. RV says for a person who served in 2 wars, it's such a great subject. It should even be taught in the schools. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I listen. I say the seriousness of gun control, gun safety. Yeah, it should be taught in schools, even if it's an after-school program, even if it's something that's just a one-off situation where the parents are in there as well, so they learn and so they see what the kids are being taught. Because like I said, you have stabbings in schools, people bring guns to schools, mass shootings in schools. I mean, if you want to go back to Sandy Hook, that was just an atrocity in itself. Like so. I mean, yeah, I agree with you too, Mrs. P. Yeah, and the next generation needs to be taught, that guns can ruin lives, and that's all I'm saying. And I think sometimes we're so caught up in the entertainment of it all that we forget to teach our kids, that look, this stuff is real, this stuff affects people, this is a big deal. Victory Lee says, I seen a burger as I swear, hold on, let me see. I see a gun as a last resort when a burglar breaks into your house. Yeah, yeah, I mean, but even you teach the ethics of that. I'm not telling people you can't have a gun to protect yourself. I'm not telling them that you can't do whatever it is that you do, but you want to be responsible. You want to teach these kids. You want to let them know that these weapons out there are not toys. It may look good in the movies when you see the Scarfaces or the Godfathers or whatever the latest guy, the Fast and the Furious or whoever the tough guys is of today. It may be sexy on screen, but in real life, this is real consequences. Real people die. Real things happen. Real people go to real funerals, and families are torn apart because people are not responsible. People are careless and reckless and not valuing human life. Like I said, you want to go out there and do your hunting. You want to go protect things. You want to have your wars. People are going to do stuff like that. But let us not lose sight of humanity. Let us not lose sight of civility. Let us not lose sight of these weapons that we create, or the things that can divide us in how we use them and how we implement them in our society. That it should be as a last resort. And maybe that's something that maybe that's something folks will get into. Maybe not. I don't know. But it is definitely something, at least for myself, to try to make people aware of, that this is important. It's serious. This is something that we need to teach the youth. Hopefully, folks are not too jaded and too far gone that they don't recognize this. And that says, yeah, right. The recent shootings hit close to home. Yeah, not definitely. 58 people, died and whatnot. But like I said, the one person that probably may never been reached was that one person doing the shooting. Who knows if that was instilled in them? Who knows if that was taught to them? Who knows if they understood the consequences? Who knows? But like I said, these are things and lessons that should be taught to the kids. It shouldn't be, oh no, this is so violent, and we can't get into this and we just sweep it under the rug like it never happened. Mark 1 says, I told my kids are very young about guns. Yeah, teach your kids. That's what I'm saying. Teach your kids. Teach the people that don't know. Teach the teenagers. Let folks know. And for those folks that are even adults, remind them that this is serious. That we set the examples and model the behavior that the youth follow. Because who knows, man? Like I said, it could be a lot worse than what it is. Like he says, we taught our daughter to go to school with safety handguns. Yeah, definitely. You teach people about the safety of handguns, of assault rifles, of the dangers that come behind it, the seriousness of, when you identify dangerous behavior, who to talk to, your local authorities, people that you need to notify, things that are important, what to do if there's a potential mass shooting. These are things that you don't just sweep under the rug. We don't just get back to Monday Night Football or rugby or whatever people watch. These are things that you want to have serious conversations with your children about. And like I said, if you don't, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, it's a strange, yeah, definitely, I agree, Ned. Definitely, Mrs. P. But I know it's early in the morning. It's some people need to get ready for work and go sleep and do all that stuff. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the thumbs up. Appreciate people for tuning in. And like I said, hopefully this wasn't too deep or too crazy for you. But at the same time, this is something that needed to be said. Thank you for watching. Take care. Be safe. It's a dangerous world out there.